Hello and welcome to this, our bi-weekly show, Roleplay Roundup, where we give news about things that are going on in the community, new games coming out, reviews of some things that we've played, maybe haven't played yet but are going to, and more. We also have a fantastic guest later that we're going to interview about things, and if you have any questions in chat, please feel free to ask them. We are here to answer your questions. As you've noticed, Charlie has abandoned us. She's gone off to the big city.
She's just grown a beard.
Wait, Charlie, is that you? I know you were Will for Halloween last year, but I didn't know you were going to do it again.
It's Halloween's come early. Charlie's off in London today in the big city, doing important things.
Yes.
And so I'm here as backup. They brought me out of the closet, out of the cupboard to come and talk about.
The door, we out. We're like, all right, behave yourself.
Can I come out now, please? Yeah, I'm like Harry Potter. And you are Mr. Dudley. Anyway, yeah, what are we going to be talking about today, Lindy? What's I guess we'll start with the news and updates and stuff.
Yes. News updates before we get into our fantastic guest. So some fantastic news that we have from Cubicle 7. They've got a few releases coming up soon. First of which is their Uberstrike Adventures Heart of Glass PDF, which is a follow-up to their previous Warhammer roleplay game.
4th edition. Good stuff.
Roleplay. I knew I was missing a letter. Warhammer fantasy role-playing game.
Wolfbrook.
Their previous one was Baited Witch. So Heart of Glass is their new one. It looks pretty cool. I mean, I love the cover art on it.
The Uberstrike is a really cool part of Warhammer lore, I guess. I'm a big fan of all of the Warhammer releases, so I went and actually downloaded this one when it came through. It came through an email the other day. I had a quick glance through, and as ever, all of the 4th edition stuff is really, high quality. If you're into the 4th edition of Warhammer, then it's fantastic. I mean, it's one of my favorite editions. I mean, 2nd edition is up there in my heart. But yeah, everything that comes out from Cubicle 7 is sort of fantastic at the moment. So I'm very happy with the new PDF there.
I'd imagine so, seeing as how this one takes a look at the insidious nature of chaos. Their words, not mine, and we all love a little bit of chaos. So, if you like chaos and want to see how people can be corrupted, check that one out, because it's going to be a good one. Also, from Cubicle 7, we have a new adventure from Adventures in Middle-earth. Their Rohan Region Guide is now available for pre-order. It's not out yet, but haven't you had a Adventures in Middle-earth show on the channel before previously?
I have, yeah, we have. We had a couple of AME campaigns on the channel, and also play one every other week on Arvan Alaron's Twitch channel. It's awesome. I mean, like, AME is just fantastic because it's got that 5e base for D&D, which I'm pretty familiar with, and a lot of people are. It's really easy to pick up and play, but the conversion job that they've done with AME is really good. And the region guides are awesome as well, because the actual base book gives a fairly detailed look, but the region guides have all of the unique monsters and stuff. So I picked up the region guide for, I think it was Mirkwood, maybe a year or so ago, and you get all the cool Mirkwood spiders, and you get all of the descriptions and all the journeys and different travel events that could happen. So you get the magic streams and the battling brooks and all that good stuff. So yeah, Rohan region guide is going to be awesome, and Rohan actually is a realm that we haven't explored in any of the games that I've played in yet. But it's one of my favorite regions from the movies. Yeah, the books.
And the movies. I'm a big Tolkien nerd. I may have a cardboard stand-up Legolas in that, just the next room over.
Full size,
Full-sized. It's going on almost 20 years of having it now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
anyways. Yeah.
That's quite an admission.
Big fan. But yeah, so if you like Lord of the Rings, check out Adventures in Middle-earth. The Rohan guide seems super cool, because who doesn't like the Rohirrim? They're badasses.
Saruman, I guess. If you're Saruman, maybe don't pick this one up.
Here, so
that's true.
He sold out the wrong team, but
yeah.
That's what's coming out from Cubicle 7, which is exciting and very much a lot of fun. Now, before we go on to more announcements and news, for products, we have a couple of finales, a couple of big finales in both this channel and on our friend's channel, Tales from the Grim. I'm sure you all remember Greg, Grimjack21502. Back in the day, now Tales from the Grim.
Back in the day. Back in the good old days.
Back in the good old days. Ye old Call of Cthulhu days. But they are set to wrap up their long-term Dragonlance Ravenloft campaign at 8 p.m. Eastern on the 23rd. This Wednesday. I will be there. I'll be on it. Charlie will be on it. If you want to cry, you should probably watch it. It's going to be intense, emotional. There's going to be a big dragon army of undead boss fight. We defeated Soth last week. So it's going to be a bang-up job of a finale. I'm very excited about it. Earlier in the day on Wednesday, here on Encounter Roleplay, after the Broken Crown. Yeah, Broken Crown. That's going to have their finale.
Yeah, which is also some pretty grimdark stuff. This Whitehander RPG, which is fantastic. And similar to the Cubicle 7 release we were talking about earlier, Zweihander has that sort of D100 Warhammer history to it. So if you like Wolfrup and Uber's Rugged Adventures, then that's definitely worth checking out. I think that's at 4 p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday. It could be 5. I could be wrong.
That sounds right. Sounds 4 p.m. Sounds right.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm Central Time now, so what is time
zones are weird. Yeah, I don't know what time it is right now. But yeah, that's definitely worth checking out. Yeah, and you can have a whole day of roleplay action there on the 23rd. Yeah.
Because I'm fairly certain that there's going to be a Zweihander mini series next month. So
there certainly is. Have we announced that? I don't know. See, I'm barely here. We are probably, unless we haven't announced it yet. In which case, maybe we are. Yeah.
Maybe we are. So check out that finale in anticipation of maybe nothing or maybe something. Anyways. Another thing you should watch here at Encounter Roleplay is happening on Friday the 25th.
That's right.
2 to 5 Eastern. You wanna?
That's right. Yes. Modiphius. We're working with Modiphius on Star Trek. And I've got a little, there we go, Star Trek Adventures there. So yeah, Friday 25th, 2 to 5 Eastern. We're going to bring you hot off the press, the Strange New Worlds new release from Modiphius, and it's being released on the 24th, so we're going to be one of the first streams to be covering it. And Virginia, aka Tabletop Horde, who also runs Judge Dredd here on the channel, will be there DMing, and she's obviously part of the Modiphius team and has worked on a project. So knows a lot about the whole Star Trek Adventures scene. So that's going to be a lot of fun and worth checking out. So it's going to be a one shot. And Lindsay, do you know who the cast is going to be for that one as well?
I do. It's going to be an awesome cast. Virginia, Tabletop Horde, obviously, is going to be there. Susanna Grace, who is lovely. Pruitt from WebDM, who, you know Pruitt. Frost from Fire, Charles. He's I guess. Cleric of Cord and voice actor Jay Britton. So it's going to be a very enthusiastic crew because I know at least Pruitt is a huge Star Trek fan. So,
that's going to be exciting. I'm excited for him. He's going to have a good time. Yeah, I can imagine. It's going to be filled with references, I'm sure. So fans of the lore will be very pleased, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So big Star Trek stuff. Now, if you're not into sci-fi, what about the Wild West? Sean Van Dam, what about it? Sean Van Dam, also known as Sam Sean on Twitter, is putting up their Wild West tabletop RPG, Ballad of the Pistolero, for $5, which is half off, till Wednesday. You can't be $5. It's actually a really nice looking full color book, lots of visuals, lots of pictures. It's fairly well done. If 50 copies sell by Wednesday, they'll add 50 more for $5 off. So here's the link for that. Y'all should definitely go check it out. It's a really fun book. Everything you need to play it is in there, so you don't need anything else. It's all inclusive, which is kind of nice. So many things
there as well. I definitely want to shoot cowboys and stuff. That makes me want to live out Red Dead Redemption. Yeah.
So it has a very Red Dead Redemption kind of like vibe to it.
Get the posse together. Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, now I want to play a Western game. I'll have to work on that. But anyways,
we'll get onto that. Yeah, we'll see.
So yeah, Ballad of the Pistolero, $5 instead of 10, half off right now. Check it out. Now we also have, if you don't like Wild West or sci-fi, what if you like smooches?
Oh, now you got me.
Now think about this: smooches and goblins.
I
know, it's right up your alley, Will. If you
what
like
if The
goblins,
Hobbit was the romance? Wow, yeah.
The Hobbit was a romance. If you like tabletop RPGs and you like dating sims, there is a Kickstarter right now called Hidden Treasures, where you can date a goblin. Or many goblins. I'm not sure. It's a visual dating novel sim, kind of like Monster Prom, if you've played that or any other visual novels, that takes tabletop RPG elements for ability rolls and stats. So, like, there's actual dice rolls in there. You can choose whether you're going to use certain stats to do certain things. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure visual novel, more so than your typical one. You get to pick a fantasy class, which will influence the narrative and how certain options appear, as well as certain characters may react to you. There's also a demo for it on itch.io if you are interested in trying it out before doing the Kickstarter, which I'm not gonna lie, I definitely downloaded that right before the stream, and that's probably what I'm gonna be doing afterwards, because
gonna be smooching some goblins in demo mode.
Some goblins. You know, I always really liked that movie Labyrinth, you know, David Bowie's Goblin King. So I'm just gonna pretend I'm running around the Goblin Kingdom.
I can see it.
Goblins. Yeah,
I don't judge you. A visual novel dating sim with goblins. Yes. I mean, what more could you want, really, in 2019? That's the perfect reflection of our society today, I think. Yep, that's what we need.
Yep.
Sounded really sarcastic. Man, fantastic stuff. I'll go back that Kickstarter later today. Hidden Treasures.
Yeah, speaking of Kickstarters, we have a guest here today that has one going on right now.
Yes, let me get the photo real quick. Slightly out of proportion. But let's transition from that to the one, the only, Granellis. Grant, you're on.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
We're good. How are you?
Oh, I'm just an old chunk of coal, Will Jones. I'm happy to be here, coming out, talk about my Kickstarter, and with you fine folks here on Encounter Roleplay.
So you got a Kickstarter, Grant. Congratulations. What is it? What's it all about? Tell us a little bit about it.
All right. So I'll drop a link in chat.
Yep.
I'm producing a 5th edition fairy tale setting for Dungeons and Dragons, where I'm combining elements and mechanics from around the world that I think would extend the capability of the kinds of games you're able to run. It's a very technical way of saying if you want to tell, say, mysteries, there's some mystery solving mechanics. So if you're a fan of Call of Cthulhu or Gumshoe or Silent Legions, we kind of very carefully integrated those in there. Likewise, if you like to play romantic games, such as Star-Crossed or For the Queen or Hot Guys Making Out by P.H. Lee. Those are kind of carefully put in there. There's also travel stories. So if you like Adventures in Middle Earth or the Ultraviolet Grasslands, so on and so forth. And so what we've done is we've created a 5th edition setting that puts a lot of emphasis on self-exploration. We have a unique character creation system, unlike any other in Dungeons and Dragons. We have narrator mechanics like from Ryutama, and we have a few other sort of fun mechanics to really help players lean into the role-playing game and, you know, tell the story they want to tell, but also be supported by the mechanics and not just 100% winging it. So that's what it's all about.
Fantastic. And where are we sitting right now at the moment as we're speaking now? I think it's mine's in pounds. $18,000.
We just broke that.
Fantastic.
Just broke that right now. Yeah, we just broke 18,000. So, you know, we still we're about a third of the way through the campaign. We're about 9 days in. We should do really well. We have some. Yeah, we have some fun stretch goals too. So the more money we raise, we've kind of planned it out so that we can add to the settings. So we can add more locations. We have 2 continent expansions. There's a whole underwater kingdom. There's also a kingdom in the clouds, the Zephyr Dominion. There's a system for hunting mythological creatures, and when you hunt them, you're not necessarily hunting them to kill them. It might be that they have elements or the Holy Grail. If you're seeking after the Holy Grail, they might have it, as well as singing harps and golden swords. The kinds of things you'll find from these classic global touchstones from fairy tale culture.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And I'm going to see here in a second, we'll be able to play the trailer video in a minute. So those watching at home can get a little better idea of what we're talking about. Grant, how long have you been working on this project? Because we were talking a little bit before in the green room. You were saying this is sort of a conversion or sort of reimagining of Brave New Worlds, which we had on the channel, 2016, 2017. So it's been in the works for a little while, right?
It's been in the works for a while. So it originally was based on my unique take on a Dungeons and Dragons settings. And I ran 2 seasons on Encounter Roleplay that were set in my homebrew setting. And then I needed to get my rights back because I had loaned them to a comic book company that went under. Then I had to chase my intellectual property for a few years. As far as the mechanics side, though, the actual design work, like hard design work, written pages, I've been working on it for the past year. I was offered a book deal by 2C Gaming, and really we wanted to seek out to solve very specific problems with 5th edition. We wanted to do away with the concept of character race. We wanted to find a way, and if you pull that out, you have to put something in. Likewise, a lot of players want to tell different story types. And I know that's kind of 2 answers to your question. For the first one, it kind of goes back to a few years, to the past year, to the current direction.
Fantastic. So what have you done to? So you say you remove race, and there's something else that goes there in its stead. So what have you guys put in place there? Because I think people at home would be interested to know, like, how do you do D&D 5e without a race? That's the first thing some people think to start with, right?
Gonna drop a link in chat. So if you follow our Kickstarter, there's actually 50 pages of free content right now. That's a lot to give for free for a campaign setting that we're kickstarting. So what we have is the character path. The character pathway is the Grand Elves version of character creation. I want people to start with, say, the physical identity of their character. Start to describe your body type. Are you brawny? Are you lean? Are you portly? Are you barrel chested? Are you very, very, very stout? Then move on to your facial features. Do you have a magnificent mustache? Do you have tusked teeth? Do you have glowing eyes? Then describe the voice of your character. Is it sonorous? Is it rough? Is it brittle? Do you speak raspy and quick? And then kind of the overall vibe of your character. When people see your character out there in the world, how do they describe them? Are they known as someone who's very dutiful? Are they known as someone who's very discreet? Do they move as if they always have a secret? So you really kind of vision and imagine. After you do that, you have 5 templates to kind of build your own fantasy race. I look at it as you either come from humankind, you come from fairy folk, you come from the beastkin, you come from the arbor people or the tree people, or you're automata, like you're a gingerbread man, or you're the scarecrow from Wizard of Oz. You pick those, then you have a list of 12 traits to choose from. You get to pick 2 to make yourself unique. That way you get away from, say, the trope of every orc has savage attacks. Well, you might want your orc to be a powerful wizard, so you just choose what you want from the list. You make it very evocative that way. And then for your ability score modifiers, I know you and I are both fans of Cypher system, you choose 2 descriptive adjectives, and you have a superior trait and an improved trait. Yeah, so you might be a brilliant and strong, so you get +2 to intelligence, +1 to strength. Then we have about 15 custom fairy tale backgrounds. These are things in traditional D&D like sailor or outlander, but I've added fairy tale ones like witches and woodcutters. Those determine your proficiencies, your language. so on and so forth. And then after you do all that, you have this very evocative character, and I'll give an example. Like on my cover, there's that frog with the sword. So he's stout, he has a magnificent mustache, he has a voice like honey, he's very dutiful. He is a beast person, or we call them Therans in my setting, and he's able to communicate with animals. Likewise, he also has the expert attacker trait, so he gets to re-roll damage dice and take the higher of the two results. Okay. His background, he's a Rolander. He's a wandering knight. That comes from Roland from history. And after I did all of that, I was like, and I'll set up his ability scores, and he will, be a fighter. So going into it at level 1, you have a very evocative, very imaginative. I actually got that idea from an old computer game called Spore, where you could design your own creatures in there. But you get very invested. So I wanted people to play with all these little dials.
Yeah, fantastic. And is the class system the same? Have you edited that at all, or is that basically something that people will know going into it? Yeah.
Hit certain stretch goals, we might add new classes. Yeah, very familiar.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fantastic.
So, when is this game supposed to come out?
I think we'll probably finish production by June of next year. That means we'll be done. It'll be, roughly 125,000 words. So between 125 to 250 pages, depending on how many stretch goals we hit. Mm-hmm. But you have 50 pages, 50 preview pages right now that are available for free. Anyone can download them off the Kickstarter page or 2C Gaming's Patreon without any backing. So, and they're pretty nicely produced as far as the quality of the PDFs. We put a lot of attention to detail into it.
Awesome. Fantastic stuff. Was there anything else, Grant, you wanted to talk about Grimworld? Because we also wanted to talk to you today a little bit about DMing on stream as a topic. But if there was a sort of elevator pitch for Grimworld you want to give us here before we head into that topic for free.
Please back my Kickstarter. So here's the people who Grimworld is for. If you want to take 5th edition and explore different story types, if you want to have mechanics that support styles of play beyond combat, and you want there to be mechanics to help you make the decision, it's definitely a good game for you. If you as a dungeon master want to be able to insert things sort of like GM intrusions from Cypher's system, in other words, manipulate the fiction and have a mechanical basis for that, it's the way to go. Likewise, if you like stories or media like The Dark Crystal or Labyrinth or Jim Henson's Storyteller, it's definitely the setting for you. We've paid a lot of attention to detail and the production value. There are deluxe copies of this book that will be available, and I'm signing and writing personalized messages in every single one if you back at that tier. So check it out.
Fantastic. And there was a question in the chat there, which was from Robin, who asked how central is players driving narrative to Grimworld? That's a good question.
So here's how I describe that. And for those that might understand, so there's game master driven narratives and there's player driven narratives.
Right.
An example of game master driven would be Dungeons and Dragons. There's a framework and a story. You're kind of following that. For player driven would be a game like Invisible Sun by Monty Cook Games, where the players decide exactly what they want to do. This has a good mix of both. In other words, the game encourages you to talk as players to come to an agreement to the type of game you want to play. However, this is still very much a game master driven game. And the reason I say that is we literally have a narrative character, the narrator, who's controlled by the game master who influences the story. The closest thing to them in other games is the Ryujin story dragon from Ryutama, where there's an actual character in the world, kind of like the rooster from Disney's Robin Hood, who's actually there and can participate with the characters. They don't have a stat block, so they're not like a DMPC, but they will kind of nudge the players in the direction of the kind of story they want to tell. Players still have their agency, though. So I'll give you guys a quick mechanical example. Say you're in a boss fight. Players can either choose to fight the boss or to run away. There's reasons why they might do both. This character has the ability to modify the fiction. In other words, they can either, if the players decide to fight, they might say, you know what? I'm playing a chip, and the players are all going to get advantage on their very next attack because they're being brave, and I want to reward that. Say they choose to run away, they might say, okay, if you're running away from this fight, I'm going to give you a reason to run away. I'm playing a chip, and now the dragon hits for double damage. You better start running. If you're going to run, I'm going to give you a reason.
Right.
But it's you're limited in that, rather than just make it up. Like, you have those options, and as a game master, you have the ability to do that based on how many sessions you've played. In other words, if you played 2 sessions, you have 2 points. You can modify the game 2 times. So it rewards playing the game more and more.
Fantastic. Great answer. Lindy, do we want to move on to talking a little bit about DMing on streams of Grant, who is a wealth of information, a dragon sword of information on this topic?
Yes, I think that'd be absolutely fantastic. I think we're all fairly experienced stream DMs by this point.
Yeah,
but
I guess we are, don't we? Yeah.
I mean, you both
want to
have.
pick my brain, get my thoughts?
Yeah, let's pick your brain, Grant. Let's lobotomize this.
Let's take a look inside that dark brain of Grant. What's going on behind there? So, Grant, you've DM'd on, goodness, countless streams, countless systems, countless channels.
I designed a system and ran it on your channel.
You've designed and run it on the channel. You've you've done conventions. You've done you've done it all. How is DMing on stream? I guess the obvious question is, how is it different from playing in real life? How is it different from playing on stream? And
I want everyone at home to know this is not real life right now. We are
right.
We're reading teleprompters. Just how Grant is.
Don't say that. And if someone were looking to get into DMing on stream, what's some of the things that they could do to maybe feel more comfortable about it, and what should I be preparing for?
So here's how I look at it. This is just my opinion. It's from the mind of Grant Ellis. When I play a game, I create what's called the XYX feedback loop. So we'll take a game like Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons, you do X. The game gives you something for doing that. And the thing that it gives you makes you want to keep playing the game. It might be they level you up and give you a new ability. They might introduce you to a new location. But that's kind of the way it's designed. It's a game loop, and you just keep playing the same game in this loop linearly from level 1 through up to 100 in basic D&D. But the stream is very much the same way. So when I think of a stream, I put the audience first. I know we're playing a game with players, and I'm probably going to get canceled on Twitter for saying that I put the audience first. Well, I do. I 100% put the audience first. It takes a lot of trust with the other players. I'm going to put on the best show possible because it's a show, and
correct.
Not everyone agrees with me, but I say that. So my goal is I want the audience to come to the stream just like my players come to the stream or come to the game. The audience is going to feel something. It's going to make them want to come back and see the next week. We were actually very successful on the Unrestful Heart show this year as far as our audience numbers because the audience kept wanting to come back because we designed the game to be very dramatic. It often had a cliffhanger. They got really invested in the interpersonal relationship drama between all the fictional characters. So it was almost like a improvisational TV show. And I designed it that way, but it's the same idea as the game. You just kind of create a loop that people fall into. They kind of fall into the flow. It's very much the same with streams. I think you might recall when I first started running Brave New Worlds, I actually designed a new combat system for stream because I realized I was like, these are 3-hour shows. If we do combat, it's going to be 2 hours of the show. So let's use my game design background to create a style of combat where we can resolve it in about 15 minutes, but there's still all the same mechanical implications. Losing hit points, losing spell slots, expending resources, people get knocked unconscious. But it took some design to get there. So I think when running on a stream, it's find a way to keep the audience wanting to come back. And that might mean using game design to create a game that's easier to watch.
Yeah. No, I think you're totally right. I mean, that's been my experience as well, particularly in the sort of producer seat, rather than just putting yourself in the dungeon master seat, right? Is thinking, is this something that is interesting to watch? Is this something that people who are watching would be interested in watching, rather than are just the 6 people around this table interested in what we're creating? And Liddy, you know all about that as well. You've also DM'd countless games, countless systems, countless channels. Is that something you're keeping in mind as well? Are there game design decisions that you make to help facilitate
I do try to
viewer play?
expedite combat
Right.
in systems, because that can really drag it down really fast. But when I'm DMing, I tend to put the audience second, because if my players aren't having an absolute blast, if they're not having a lot of fun, that's not going to be fun to watch. So, but also typically when I DM for players, I throw enough shenanigans and malarkey in there that it's going to be entertaining no matter what goes on. So,
I was going to say, even you almost treat the players like an audience as well, where we become, people get very caught up in that excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I want everyone to be excited about it, audience and players.
Yeah, Grant, I think that's a good insight, actually. I don't know if it's necessarily if the audience and the players are two such different entities when you are DMing or when you're producing it. They are very similar in terms of what you're trying to give them, right? And I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess it's difficult to do one well and do one badly. I feel like you either do both quite well and you balance them out, or you're doing both badly, right? Yeah.
I'll give an example. So when I ran on RPG sports, I was a lot more like a referee in like a football match or a baseball. I was an umpire. Now I still had my thesaurus where I could, use all these synonyms for different damage types and things like that. But it was very, very technical. Even Lindy was there, to give me rule citations and things like that. Here's an example of DMing on screen. So Lindy's on a show with me on Thursday nights, and Jim Davis, who's been on a lot of Encounter Roleplay, runs that game. I noticed the audience was dead. I mean, their funeral had been held. They were buried in the ground. Their cold bodies were decaying for all time. And they were just dead. I don't know why. I think it was kind of a weird session. But I messaged Jim in the final 15 minutes of the session. I said, hey, can I add some spice to this game? Like, you can kill me if you want, but I want to wake up the audience. And Lindy might remember, so we had gone to like the palace of the demon prince, and my character, the little goblin, had gone ahead, and out of nowhere, and for like 5 sessions, we've been building up to meet this guy. I'm going to ask for information. Well, I didn't ask him for information. I just pulled out my warhammer, hit him on the head, and tried to banish him. And like Josh Davis, who's playing, goes, yes! And the audience woke up, because like that could be my death. And it turned out being like a Saruman Gandalf duel in Isengard, right? Like we're in Orthanc and we're having this wizard's duel, and they got to see me use, my best combat strats. And Tingrith, that was the name of the bad guy. But I did that just because I was like, I'm going to talk to the DM for consent. And there's a reason why I talked to him for consent. I was like, look, this could wreck your campaign if this goes really weird. I don't want to do that, but I wouldn't typically do this. But I'm going to metagame right now. I want the audience to wake up, so I'm just going to do some ridiculous, outlandish stunt because it's unexpected, and that's the audience. The audience, if they're metagaming along, they go, "Okay, we followed this for 5 episodes. Grant's going to ask us questions. And what's the answer? All right." No. I turned it into an improv combat out of nowhere that Jim hadn't planned for, because what dummy is going to throw this? And that was a lot of fun. And that takes, that's a difference between on stream and in person, where, we were very conscientious about the audience. It was a very long campaign. We were at a slow point. And it was just kind of like, hey, can I spice this up?
Right. Absolutely. And I think I'll blend asked the question there in chat. I imagine stream players and DMs kind of like stage actors. Is that a fairly close comparison, would you guys say, to being a player on a stream or a DM on a stream is a performance, right? It's similar in a sense. Or maybe more to like a radio broadcaster type.
Radio broadcast is very close. So some acting's improvisational, some acting is scripted. Some acting has a director directing the actors' decisions, and they work together. I think for me, it's more like stand-up comedy and pro wrestling. Those are the two things, because I have backgrounds in those two things.
I have absolutely zero theater background, so I play my online games exactly the same way as I play my offline games, so I don't know if that just says something about me as a person. Maybe I should have gone in the theater or what, but I do find when I do podcast recordings, I put more forethought into that, especially because a lot of times those are edited, and so you can be like, no, I didn't like how that went, let me try it again with more feeling this time. That kind of
take.
So but I don't find that I do that in streams typically. So
I try to read the crowd and audience. Like an actor, say you're performing the Crucible script is probably going to be the same every time you read it. You might deliver the lines a little differently because the director has directed you to deliver the lines differently. But what I try to do is, not all my material lands, not all my material is good, but I'm out there trying things, and it all comes from the same place to be entertaining. If I make a decision on stream, I'm not doing, I might say something snide or jerkish or, do something weird. I mean, Will essentially coined the whole Bad Boy Grant character. I used to show up on your streams and I'd be donating to attack everyone. It was a character. But the audience engaged with that. They were like, okay, it's the villain. He's here. And one of the main reasons I did that to begin. Well, when my first game, like your audience, no offense, audience, I love all of you, but you were donating to kill my players, and I was just like, Will, these guys, they're mean to you guys. So I showed up. I was like a cross between Mr. Rogers and a college professor, and I'm just like, okay, I need to invent a persona that is the bad guy, and the bad guy that the audience will all come after, but I'm the game master, so I had to draw the heat to get it off my players.
Yeah. That was a funny time in streaming as well. That was back in the Wild West of things.
Now I'm Bay Boy Grant.
Oh.
Things have moved on.
Bad Boy Grant. I got them sunglasses in the next room.
I know.
Twitter's changed all of us. It's it has that effect. But and I totally agree with what you guys were saying before about sort of making. I think just having an awareness that the fact that there is an audience there aside from your players and your own entertainment is the main difference. And it's sort of like you guys have probably had this where if you're at a convention and you're DMing and then a small little crowd starts coming and there are people who sort of drop in and watch and stuff, and you're sort of aware that they're there and you'll play to that a little bit. That's I think a pretty good way to compare what sort of DMing on stream is like, because even if it's 100 people, that's something that you have to be sort of spatially aware of when you're speaking and presenting, which is a little different from you in a basement with three friends.
And I will say that DMing on stream versus in person, whether at a convention or with basement, you don't have to wear pants. That's right. That's a big
true.
benefit.
I mean, technically, you don't have to wear pants in real life.
Technically.
But
well, maybe convention.
But you should. Yeah, you certainly should at a convention. And probably
no pants.
Depends on the game.
It's interesting to note the month before I started playing on Encounter Roleplay, I actually was running D&D on stage at shopping malls. I was doing Puppets and Paladins where we had. I think I still have one. Green screen, so he's going to fall apart. But it's like I had my puppets and we were running these Goblin D&D games on stages at, and I'd have like comic book artists and people from the community come out and be on stage. Because it was entertainment.
You come out with these things sometimes.
there's photos. Yeah, it's funny. It's actually in the
Hilarious.
official D&D Sage Advice archive. Because I asked Chris Perkins and Matt Mercer, I was like, I have to start running D&D on stage at shopping malls. Do you guys have any advice? Or, who are you? No, no, they gave the best advice they could. Get a day job.
God.
What's wrong with you?
I was
See, we
running
got another-
D&D. I was running D&D games on stage with puppets at shopping centers.
And shopping malls.
Fantastic. That's the dream right there.
I did see that we had another question in chat. How much freedom do you give players to create their characters? I can imagine some
None.
characters working better for more than another. Yep. Will's a real slave driver. I told him I wanted to play an old lady and a hobo, and he said, sure. So,
Yes. Sure.
I typically, what I do with my players is I kind of let them know what the theme of the game's going to be. Like this is the genre. This is what's kind of, if it's going to be like political or heavy combat. Because if someone makes a big, heavy combat character and the game is going to be really political and city-based, they might not be as happy. So I kind of just, for everyone's sake, I'm like, this is kind of the vibes this campaign's going for. And usually people make something that fit in well or be creative with it.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? I mean, Grind, you give players a sort of, I mean, it sounds like with Grimworld as well, that's sort of what the philosophy is about, is sort of pick the kind of character that you'd like to play and then play, in this world.
Yeah, so I normally start with a primer. I always want to hear what the player has to say first. Like when I first ran on your channel, you wanted to run a Null, and we talked about it. We're we're going to have this Demon Hound character, Squire, who went on to become the world champion in combat. But I always send a primer, and it has like a strong verb where it's like, this is what you're going to be doing. And I give about a paragraph description. And then I give some guidelines. So it's like everything within these boundaries is fine. And I might explain what I might call setting and scenario differences. So someone might say, well, I always play a tiefling, so I'm playing a tiefling. Well, if they don't exist in this particular universe, you can't play one, and you need to talk with your players about that. So what I try to do is just have it match the fiction of the world. So Grimworld gives you lots of freedom, and you just make your own stuff because I want you to play all these fantastical characters. But if you're playing like, say, Pendragon by Chaosium, you're kind of confined to play an Arthurian knight or something adjacent to that. So yeah, you've just got to think about your settings and what you're going to allow and not allow.
Yeah.
And then Lindy shows up with an octopus barbarian anyways.
Ruins it all. Yeah, no, I think that's you guys totally right. Is there anything else, Lindy? I'm looking at the time here, and we've got a couple of minutes left.
Yeah.
I think we also wanted to talk about Meat Grinder.
Meat Grinder!
In a week's time, a week from today.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, October 27th, we're going to be raising money for cancer charities with the Dragons Tourney, a 5e joust GM'd by RPG Webby. Viewers can join the stream and compete for an exclusively designed magical item. Apply via Discord. I don't know if applications are still going. I think they are.
They are. Yeah, they totally are. If you guys want to jump into Discord, so there's a Meat Grinder channel in there. Go sign up. There are people signing up, and we've got like 12 spaces or so there should still be some left. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go joust people, hit them off their horses. I want a nice towel. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Exactly.
It'll be like medieval times, but from your own home.
Even better. Did we go to medieval times together, Lindy, or was that a different time?
You're not dreaming.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah, I was checking. I've been to medieval times a lot here with people. It's always a good time. It's always
our knight didn't win, but they got second place.
That's right.
So
we just want to make you feel at home.
Do
exactly
with a good tourney.
Yeah, come see the budget version of Medieval Times, October 27th here on Encounter Roleplay, which is all for a good cause as well. It's Cancer Charities. I think it's a UK or a US one. I'll have to confirm which one we actually decided to do thanks to tax. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. RPG Webby Sam is a fantastic DM and designer as well over at Modifius, and so you guys are gonna be in for a good time. And I'll show up and try and unhorse someone. That's my plan. Last meat grinder, I set a world record. So I'm kind of a
Wow.
Yeah.
What record did you set?
I set the record for the character, longest living character in that module, and it was like an hour and 20 minutes.
Nice. Dawn can be pretty brutal, so that's exciting. I'm gonna be jealous. I'm gonna have to catch up on the joust because I'll be jousting my in-laws this coming weekend. So.
Jousting my in-laws. I think I've seen that movie. Yeah. And Grant, you're going to be in the upcoming Star Trek game as well. Oh no. He's Fabius. We're giving away too many exclusives. Yeah,
there's a lot of movie announcements today, and maybe not.
Today. Maybe next one we'll have some more concrete plans. So. Alrighty. Well, fantastic. So Grant, Grimworld, it's on Kickstarter right now. How long's it got left?
So it's got 21 days left.
21 days left.
It looks like we've been seeing some good support from chat. You know, I noticed we got about $250 in donations just from, you know, people in the audience. So it's much appreciated. You know, really, we're really going to drive to make the best product that I can. And it's my love letter to role-playing games. I hope this one goes well. And the second letter might be a little spicier than the first.
Looking forward to the sequel, but yeah, fantastic stuff. Go check out Grimworld on Kickstarter. Libby, was there anything else you wanted to say as well for sign-offs here?
Definitely check out the finales on Wednesday that we have talked about. Also, Will will be back. I'm stepping out of the DM seat this week. I've been DMing a lot in general for the past 2 weeks. Will will be back on Tuesday for Tentacle Tuesday, and Hollowtail will be back on Thursday for Death's Curios. So I don't get to torment the players anymore. I'll be back in the player seat.
I actually met Stephen Hollowtail in Toronto's Pearson Airport the other day. So for a brief time, we were both away from Encounter Roleplay doing Canadian things, and now we're back. Well, he's back in the UK. I'm still in Canada, but yeah, we'll be back this week for Tentacles and some on a Hallowed Metropolis. Fantastic stuff. So next stream here on the channel will be, let's see, what is today? Sunday. So tomorrow for Ravnica Unleashed. Yes, Unchained. So come check this out. We're back on here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. So join us there. If you haven't followed Encounter Roleplay, go to @EncounterRP. There was a question in chat earlier, which I'll briefly address as well, which was whether or not the players get paid, and that's a chance for me to push the Patreon for Encounter Roleplay. So 100% of the Patreon each month goes towards the custom Encounter Roleplays that go there, back Encounter Roleplay, and it all goes towards the cast. And also 50% of all the donations on the shows go towards the cast as well, which includes the cheers and stuff like that. So if you guys want to donate throughout the week, then it's all... well, at least 50% of that goes towards the cast. The rest goes towards running costs of keeping this whole thing going. And the Patreon is all for the cast. So go check it out. And there's some cool stuff over there. But of course, go check out Grimworld as well on Kickstarter for the next 3 weeks. So yeah, we'll check in with you in 3 weeks' time, Grant, and we'll see how it's gone. Fantastic
hitting
stuff.
The bottle really hard.
You'll probably be asleep, hibernating for a couple of weeks afterwards. Yeah, it's the rogue streak in your hair. Fantastic stuff. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. It's finally allowed out. What else we got? Oh, to play us out tonight, we'll play the Grimworld's trailer. So if you guys wanted to learn a little bit more about it, here's the trailer. Thank you guys for watching us, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone. Bye!
Once upon a time, there was a world of whimsical legends and dark fairy tales, where players and dungeon masters had a role to play, collaboratively crafting perilous tales told at twilight. This story tells of Grimworld, a campaign setting from Grandmaster storyteller Grant Ellis for your favorite 5th edition role-playing game. Grimworld is more than a fantasy realm of ferocious fairy tales. It expands the rules of 5th edition to teach players, new and old, to tell stories of emotion and depth. Within its pages burgeons a completely overhauled character creation system where players can build narrative-focused heroes and experience mysteries, intrigue, friendship, and even romance. DMs running Grimworld find themselves playing a unique role all of their own, the Narrador and its 4 narrative personas. As the Narrador, you act within Grimworld to directly impact your game story. But beware, one must follow the rules of the Masquerade to realize the Narrador's full storytelling potential. With these tools and many more, you will explore the mystical land of Grimworld in all of its peculiar splendor. With your generous support, Grimworld can become the site of your next great adventure, a place to write a heroic chapter in a dark fairy tale all your own.